Hello and welcome to Diamonds and Duds. This is Ivan.
And this is Charles. Welcome back.
Welcome back. Today we have a movie that I had seen. It had been a long time and I hadn't remembered seeing. Event Horizon.
Yeah, I have never seen it. I remember the trailers coming out growing up, but I had it never happened to see it. This came out, I actually usually write down the year. I did not write down the year. I think this is like late 90s. Mid to late 90s is when it came out. I'm going to go ahead and give you a synopsis. A rescue squad investigates a spaceship that got sucked into a black hole and resurfaced with something new on board. This came out in August of 1997.
And this was directed by Paul W.S. Anderson. That name sounds familiar. It's not the Paul Anderson you're thinking of, because isn't like the famous Oscar director also named Paul Anderson?
Yeah, I think with some of the same initials.
Yeah, because this is the director who would go on to direct Resident Evil.
Oh yeah,
and a bunch of stuff like that. He would. Most recently, he's currently doing a House of the Dead movie. So he does a lot of campy of those kind of movies now. He kind of really hit his stride, I think, with those Resident Evil.
Yeah, so I think that there's a Paul W.S. Anderson, this guy, and then there's a Paul Anderson, which is the guy that does the quirky stuff. We actually, I believe, we done a Paul Anderson movie, the one the meteor, the March, the one with all the weird people, the weird pacing. It was about the meteorite. It has Tom Hanks. Well, Tom Hanks was the main star, but it was the asteroid city. So now we did one for Paul Anderson. Now we're doing Paul W.S. Anderson.
And I always did I had a special spot in my heart for those Resident Evil movies. Part of it is that prior to those and some of the initial Mortal Kombat movie, there was no such thing as a good video game movie.
Yeah, oh really?
And don't get me wrong, the Resident Evil movies weren't going to win you an award or anything like that, but they were super fun.
Yeah, I like the first one, especially because I thought in the first one, I really thought they nailed the liquor. So that was kind of, if you've never played the games, it was the enemy at the very end of the first Resident Evil movie. Plus, I'm always a big fan of Michelle Rodriguez. She went on to be in a whole bunch of the Fast and the Furious movies.
Yeah.
And
this was written by someone named Philip Eisner. This was the first thing he ever wrote. And post this, it was a whole lot of straight-to-video stuff that he wrote. Rotten Tomatoes-wise, it's got a 35% by the critics. Mm-hmm. And it got a 62% by the audience, which I think, looking at it, I'm not surprised. You can see, certain audiences probably kind of liking this.
Yeah.
And as I try and do with these, I did find, a top critic who had reviewed this. I haven't heard of Paul Tatara, but they're from CNN.
Yes.
And their quote is, "Don't worry, it's not you. It really doesn't make any sense." Which, maybe I shouldn't get these quotes before I watch the movie, but let's just say that really set me up mindset-wise going into that. Because I think that, I don't want to put any words in your mouth, but that kind of sets the tone for this to a T.
Yeah, this has some good cast members though. Our two big names. We'll get to one of whom I thought fit in nicely. Lawrence Fishburne and Sam Neill were the two big boys.
There's actually a third big boy in there.
Well, third big boy. Now, who is it?
The guy who you've ever seen the TV show The Rookie?
The Rookie, no.
With Nathan Fillion, the guy who's been on the entire run of the African American guy, Richard T. Jones.
I recognize that guy.
He looks like he's in his early to mid 20s in here.
Yeah.
He plays the kind of older captain.
I called him Doc Horny.
See, I called him rookie guy.
Yeah,
is what
right.
basically what I called him, because isn't Jason Isaacs in there too?
So Jason Isaacs, he's most some of you history people. He was the bad guy in The Patriot, But what a lot of people will recognize him as, he's Daddy Malfoy in the Harry Potter movies.
True. Yeah.
And there's also another guy that I recognized as someone who watched the first couple seasons of Gotham before I'm like, you know what, this show. The guy, the Alfred from the show Gotham, is also in it. He plays the engineer guy, guy who's kind of working on the ship a lot. He played Alfred in the Fox.
Is he the
Gotham.
guy who goes into the thing and ends up hurt?
No.
Okay.
He's the guy who's he spends a lot of the movie out, not on the Event Horizon, but working on the ship.
Okay. Yes, I call him shaved head guy.
Yeah.
The other guy, the guy who's I think supposed to be the engineer. Justin. He's in a show. He was in. Do you remember a show on MTV called Dead at 21?
I've never seen it, but I know.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Because I recognized his face, and he was in that. He was in a bunch of stuff like that.
And Kathleen Quinlan, she's also a name I've heard before. She was Doc Lady.
Okay.
Yeah. So definitely there's a couple people that the people that were well known at the time were Lawrence Fishburne and Sam Neill. Sam Neill was only a couple years away post Jurassic Park.
So that's what I couldn't remember, if this was post Jurassic Park or pre. And so it was probably, to be honest, a big coup for them to get him.
Yeah, this is one of his big starring movies after that, because Jurassic Park came out in '94, and so this is one of his big starring.
Meaning if this came out in summer of '97, he probably filmed this '95, '96.
Yeah,
he would have gotten this post.
Yeah, and so Sam Neill's had a fine career since. He never does get a starring role outside of Jurassic Park movies in an event movie or big post this. Lawrence Fishburne.
Nor should he.
Yeah, Lawrence Fishburne. Obviously, he's had a prolific career, and I liked Lawrence Fishburne in this movie.
Yeah, I think yes, Lawrence. Yeah, I don't blame the cast much for this. We've mentioned this in a few different other podcasts. They needed to have the guy on the set saying this doesn't make any fucking sense. You know what I mean? Because a lot of the problems I have with this movie could have been explained with a total of 10 minutes of dialogue spread throughout the entire course. They just didn't explain shit.
They really didn't. We start off with, first off, a lot of writing. 2015, first permanent colony established on the moon. Some of the stuff, that's good to know, but it doesn't really affect anything, I don't think. 2002, commercial mining begins on Mars. 2040, this is the one that actually should, they could have gotten rid of the first two.
Yes.
And that 2040, Deep Space Research Special Event Horizon launched to explore the boundaries of the solar system. That's the first one he needed. And then disappears beyond Neptune. And then now it's 2047. So it's 7 years after the Event Horizon disappeared at the boundaries of our solar system.
And I put 2015, they can kiss my ass.
Yeah.
Seeing the word 2015 explained in a future sense really made me feel really freaking old.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, fuck, that was 10 years ago. Okay, maybe I shouldn't watch Back to the Future anytime soon. Back to the Future 2.
And one of the things they should have explained, they didn't really explain who anybody was.
No.
And they just sort of say, hey, Sam Neill, they don't explain Sam Neill's relationship to that original ship. He just sort of, I think, has a nightmare.
Involving what we assume is his dead wife. We never really get
We never get... I think you're meant to assume she was maybe on the Event Horizon, but it's one of the things they just sort of never explain.
Yeah, it's one of the crux of my this movie has a number of issues. A lot of the issues go back to Sam Neill's character. I don't think he's a leading actor. I don't think he's if I were to list the problems, the things that I don't think he himself stood in the way of this being, and he was fine enough, but also like he was given an absolutely garbage character that like had a lot of potential, but like they really don't, like you said.
They don't explain his motivation or why he's going there, or or they don't explain a lot of stuff here.
Yeah. So it starts. So they're they're coming out of their version of hypersleep extended. To sleep for deep long trips. We've seen this in different movies. Aliens had their way. Here it looks like to be kind of similar, some kind of liquid thing, and you get to meet the members of Lawrence Fishburne's crew, which are a lot of the actors that we just talked about.
Which of the actors we talked about in the beginning. They don't really. They don't explain. They probably should have had a 5-minute scene at the beginning with Lawrence. To be honest, what they should have had is a scene with Lawrence Fishburne and his superior explain, because you in a line of dialogue later you realize that they were all on leave apparently.
Yeah,
and they got called in because this was super important. But like they don't tell you that this was super important until like an hour from now.
Yeah,
and like. It's just sort of, I think someone told them we need to get this movie down to it. Part of me wonders if they were ever to re-edit this movie, if some of this shit was filmed and they just
left out
horrible editing. Like
they chopped it too much, maybe.
They chopped it because there's something to making sure it's kept under a certain point. But there's shit they could, if they needed to, there was shit they could have cut out.
Oh yeah,
like. Some of the weird body horror crap is what they probably could.
I like kind of the look of the ship's kind of cool. I like kind of the retro futuristic kind of that a lot of the sci-fi movies of that time period kind of did, which I did enjoy that. So like like I said, they're going to rescue something. They basically, what the crew just knows is that they're going beyond Neptune. Okay, they know that they're going beyond Neptune and that there's something there, and then. This is where Sam Neill kind of tells what it is now that they're going to. They say that they think that the event horizon might have reappeared, and the crew's like, that's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, because it sounds like what everybody was told originally was that there was like that the event horizon exploded or something like that.
Yeah.
And so I think this is a good story because I think I think it just could have been explained better, because I like the look of this. I like the cast a lot in this. I think it's just they left out some crucial parts to make stuff.
They really did. We like I said, he got a dream where he dreams of what we assume is maybe his dead wife, not really explaining the importance of it not being explained will become evident later on. Lawrence Fishburne's the captain, kind of no-nonsense jackass. They say Sam Neill's claustrophobic in space. I mean, it's an interesting thing, but I don't think that really becomes a big enough thing in the story. They say that the event horizon was pioneering this faster-than-light their travel, which was basically space folding. It was meant to kind of test faster-than-light travel, and so... That is why it's of utmost importance to get this back. And part of me wonders, like, if in universe if they ever tried it again. Yeah.
Because I thought that was a little peculiar that something important as this, because this is at this point is 7 years since it went out originally.
Yeah.
That it, well, maybe they should have explained that the person who created it was on. I don't know. Maybe
Sam Neill was the person that created. Like, exactly. I agree. You're on to a very good point. Because why was this not tried again? Because the public, they clearly state that most of the public they just know the event horizon was going beyond space. They don't know about the space folding. They don't know. They think that it was destroyed. So like we don't know why it wasn't tried again. Only that Sam Neill helped create it.
Exactly, and that's part of me wonders if what they should have done was that his wife was the one who created it, and he knows, like he was on the team or something like that. And I don't, and maybe we're reading too much into that part, but it's like, but that's why they're there. That's why, and I think they also probably should have had something here or at that part where a scene that I think's missing was Lawrence. I think they should have had Lawrence Fishburne, his number one, Sam Neill, and then some old crusty like movie veteran actor playing Lawrence Fishburne's boss.
Yeah.
And probably only in that scene telling him you have to, go do this. And I think that's where some of this stuff comes out to explain, hey, because I find it awful weird that Lawrence Fishburne doesn't find out what they're going to save until they're out there.
Yeah, which yes, that is a big, massive hole. The cap that they needed to not have that. Maybe the crew doesn't know, but Lawrence Fishburne, the guy, the captain, most definitely would. We hear some. Was it a recording they have that's kind of creepy? Kind of indicates we're not really sure kind of what happened. I did think that in this particular the ship, the captain's chair is kind of cool with the way it was. I'm like, hey, kid, that's cool.
I thought it was kind of cool too, and I thought it was because there's one person who. I'm sorry. There's one person who can. Is it Jason Isaac who can understand that that's Latin?
Yes.
Because
that's Jason Isaac.
The part that I thought was interesting is my assumption, and this is just me based on a bunch of other, seeing a host of these kind of. My assumption is that the best scientists would have already seen this.
Yeah.
How did no one not notice that was Latin before?
Yeah.
Is the other thing. Not that it matters a ton.
And where you get the Jason Isaac thing, I also think this movie could have I think this movie either needed to reduce the number of crew members by like one or kill somebody off really quick.
They took too long to kill somebody.
Because the reason why because I wanted to know more about Jason Isaac's character. We don't really know his role. We kind of think maybe a medic, but there's also some interesting things about him because he has a temper. Sounds like he knows Latin, and there's a point we'll get to it later in the movie where he gets upset and he puts a knife, like a knife or a scalpel, a small blade to the throat of Alfred from Gotham. And so I almost wonder, does he have some kind of operative role in terms of I think
it seems like there's some stuff underneath here that they wanted to do, they just sort of didn't.
Yeah, so they get there, and this one of the lines I really liked. So they're docking, and it's the ship's going to clamp on, to this thing is that is not a load bearing structure. Sam Neill say, and then. I think it was Alfred from Gotham who said, "It is now, Doctor." I thought that was a funny. But here, again, back to Sam Neill's character. Sam Neill is desperate to get on this ship. Desperate. Why? Did his wife die there? Does it have anything tied to the? Is it just the fact we know he helped create the folding? Is it just to see that?
Is the ship, or were they meant to have some sort of thing where the ship was calling to him? Because we find out later, basically, it's the ship's alive.
Yeah, and so in a vacuum, him being desperate to get on the ship, not that big a deal. Where we now know that the movie was going, we needed to know what was this just a random thing you were putting in to pad screen time, or was Sam Neill already connected to this ship? It has been. And if so, we needed to get a lot more information.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I think that's where we needed to get a few characters cut out of here.
Yeah.
I don't think we needed both your guy from Gotham and the Dead at 21 guy.
Yeah.
I don't think we needed one of those two.
Yeah.
We didn't need both of them. This is going to sound bad, but both female characters sort of bled into each other.
They really did, yeah.
And it has nothing to do with the fact that it just had to do with the fact that they didn't a lot of characters in because there were so damn many of them. Yeah. They just didn't explain who, and I think I called them Lady with a Kid and Sark.
Yeah.
Is that they kind of explained the lady with a kid was supposed to be her child has, some sort of chronic disease or something like that, and then she was supposed to have Christmas with them or something like that.
And they really, and I'll get to, they really don't go enough details. We'll definitely talk about it there. So we start getting a look at the Event Horizon. A bunch of them go on board. They immediately split up.
They immediately split up, and I will say, the way they film the Event Horizon, I like how they film it a lot, and I wish we would have seen kind of more of this little weirdness of it before all shit went crazy.
Yeah,
because I thought that was filmed really well, and I don't see any reason why they limited it to 3 because they have like 7,000 crew members. On their damn ship.
Yeah, I know. I kind of like the long corridor was kind of cool. Then, because Justin, Dead at 21 guy, is heading to the back, heading to the gravity thing. Like, I thought the weird ass meat grinder corridor, the spinning thing.
That was cool.
It was cool. I'm like, I don't really know these, but I'm like, it looks cool visually. I did have an issue with the gravity folding space drive. Not it, because it's just, standard sci-fi stuff, big old circular ball, little thing. I didn't have any issue with that. Big old room, kind of cool. I was really kind of questioning, how do the spikes help the gravity? Because all around the room there are spikes. Now, you may be like, well, Charles, the reason is that later on in this movie, when shit gets real, one of these cast members is going to get coolly impaled on the spikes. And you know what? My answer would have been, okay, this is a horror movie. That's reason enough for me. Spoiler alert, nobody gets impaled on these spikes. Nobody getting close or anything. So I'm like, there was never a threat point where, someone was like, no, there was no gravity, and someone almost gets impaled. No, they were just there. I'm like, okay, that's kind of dangerous.
There should have been 2 things that happened. Yeah. Okay, one is that I agree, somebody should have gotten impaled on those spikes.
Yeah,
but then 2, the cast member that should have brought it up should have been the guy from The Rookie.
Yeah,
and he should have gone to Sam Neill and said, "Why in the fuck are there spikes in here?" Is what the and we don't have to have any 45-minute scientific, just one line of dialogue that says, "Oh, those are the thingy that helps the
which would work because that character was largely comic relief. Yeah, that character was largely comic relief, so I totally would have that would have been fun. Okay, then so the spikes are fine. They created a humorous scene.
Because isn't he the one who goes and saves him in that room, or am I crazy?
Yeah.
Because when he goes in that room and he brings Justin back or whatever, because he goes to save Justin, he should have gone to Sam Neill and gone, why are there spikes in there? That seems awful dangerous.
Yes, absolutely. So, so he had to save Justin because Justin's an absolute moron. I mean, I think now, I wrote that he's not smart. I think now we know that It's Just Alive was kind of calling to him. So, but basically, some strange liquid shows up, and he immediately goes, "Ooh, let me touch."
And again, let's have some positive thing, because I don't want to seem like I'm just shitting on this movie the entire time. The special effects also for 1997 were extremely good.
Oh yeah, and I said that goes to the entire movie.
Yes,
The special effects in this were always good. And again, at the time, I thought Justin was being an idiot. Now I know that this ship is now alive, as we learn later, and so it is having an effect on people's mind. So what we clearly realized later on is that it was having an effect on Justin's mind, and it was calling to him. So, but basically, Justin fucks everything up. Their ship gets really badly damaged, and everyone to the Event Horizon now.
Now, I might just be. How did that get damaged? Did they ever explain how? Other than there was a random explosion?
Yeah, they never really fully explained.
Okay.
Just
I wasn't
random.
sure if I just missed, but it was there was an explosion that really fucked up their ship, basically.
Yeah. And so it's time to get out of the spacesuits because they have gravity and air, and these are actors, and they want people to see their faces.
Yeah, and then they're like, hey, it's going to cost way too much money to film 12 people in spacesuits.
And so they're like, hey, they have 20 hours before their air runs out and everybody dies. Alfred's going to go fix the ship, and
And Rookie Guy goes with them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Rookie. Oh, I think in the beginning, Rookie guy stays, and then he goes back later.
Oh, probably.
Yeah, but yeah. So
and they take Justin over there too, don't they? No,
Justin's in the medical.
Justin's initially he's in the medical of the Event Horizon because the lady who's what do you call it? Kid has a kid.
Doc lady. Yeah.
The doc lady. The ship and this is where we start realizing the ship is kind of doing some crazy stuff to him.
Yeah, and here's where I think going forward for the rest here, they kind of missed out on Justin. I wrote here, and this didn't end up making this. Justin probably isn't Justin anymore. Now, when he awakes, he is later in the movie. He isn't himself, but I thought it might have been better if like Justin was completely gone and he was like an avatar of like piece of the ship or something like that. They didn't go that route, but basically he's kind of comatose. And then Sam Neill he's being a bit of an ass right now. He is Weir's kind of an asshole, and basically he's convinced that the Event Horizon is safe. He's arguing with everybody. Basically, we learned that the Event Horizon, the gravity thing, it uses an artificial black hole. Which, if you know anything about black holes, that's like a really, really terrible idea.
No, and I do like that the people from Lawrence Fishburne's ship do point that out.
Yes,
they're like, "Hey, that's incredibly stupid." But I think also because isn't this at the same time where they around here where they have the ship's log?
Yeah,
and I think this is where and maybe we do. I'd be curious now that I've seen the whole movie to watch it again. I'm curious if we actually, Charles, would see the person from Sam Neill's dream in that thing that they just don't point it out.
Yeah.
I'm curious if that person's in there.
Yeah.
But that's where they should have been.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then pointed that out.
Yeah, and so we start to see Doc seeing shit. So she's seeing, as you alluded to, her son. And we're going to get different people are hallucinating. We don't see everybody. And first of all, one thing that I think they really miss on, it's clear that not everybody is hallucinating, which I think is kind of based on the way they set this up is a big fail. Even if they didn't show us, because they show us Lawrence Fishburne's, they show us Doc Ladies, they show us Sam Neill's. Okay? We should have gotten some kind of indication that the rest of them are seeing stuff. Most of the rest of them, we never see anything. Again, we don't have to waste time with them as far as what their visions are. But we should have been there.
It could have been something as simple as like a group one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like 2 or 3 of them are like, or that Jason Isaacs is in the med bay when the doc lady happens to have her, and he sees it too. You know, that kind of thing. And
where I think they really mess up is, out of these 3 people, 2 of them, they explain absolutely nothing in terms of the character's background and why this really matters to that character. Lawrence Fishburne does. There's a good scene later in the movie where Lawrence Fishburne explains how he's been he's seeing a person on fire. We learn that it was he was on a mission and it was another crew member and he had to be left behind, and so they explain that. But we don't really get to. We know that it's her son, but we don't really get a whole lot of information on it, and we don't get anything about Sam Neill. Sam Neill sees the same, we presume, wife with the blood red eyes. And like you said, one of the big fails of this movie is they never explain who the fuck that is. Yeah.
They don't explain who that is, why they're important. Yeah. You assume it's the wife, you assume it's related to the ship in some way.
Which, because because he starts seeing that, and everybody starts seeing it brings the question: was Sam Neill already affected, and was he being called to the ship? Because if he was, then
that's an interesting idea,
and we needed to be explored. If it's not, then they needed him to not have this exact same nightmare of his dead wife like that. Maybe it's something different.
Exactly. Yeah, I think. If it's not the ship calling him, I think the initial dream is like him thinking that he's the reason. Like, you show something that he thinks he messed up, you know what I mean, on the creation of the ship, and he thinks he's the reason that that bad stuff happened. You go down that path, but
and so we get different people starting to see things. The ship is malfunctioning, the gravity drive. Sam Neill goes to fix it, and for some reason, when they designed it, it's this weird maze of green vents and not at all easy to get to the control panel. But that's just hey, we mentioned he's claustrophobic, so he's gonna have to have a moment where he's claustrophobic. I'm like, okay, it's making the design of the gravity drive really kind of shitty. And here's what I want to then Sam Neill is still denying this, still denying everything to the crew in terms of no, nothing's weird. You're just hallucinating. When he's hallucinating, nothing weird. It's just bullshit. He's just really defiant. No, everything's fine. And I'm like, why is he still? Now we know that Sam Neill is now basically. The others are seeing it. Sam Neill's he's susceptible. They just really wanted him. He's really falling into the thrall of this ship. And again, begs the question: was he already in? Did he help lead them there? These are questions, but based off what they had indicated that they caused these to brought up. So some of these questions needed to have some kind of answer.
I feel it's fair for us to bring up these questions because we're bringing these up because they did and just sort of didn't.
Exactly. And you kind of alluded to, there's some good, but it's a very slow movie. At this point, we're 50 minutes in to a 90-minute flat movie.
A 90-minute flat horror movie.
Yes. And we haven't had a kill. Justin's comatose, but he hasn't died. And spoiler, Justin doesn't die.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Which is perfectly fine. But it's
the way most horror movies work, because we've done, Cocaine Bear, we did Cocaine Bear a while back. Cocaine Bear is not straight horror, but it's comedy horror. Yeah. But it follows the horror. When you're doing a horror movie, you want to get a couple of kills in early. A lot of times then there's a big gap. But again, we're 50 minutes in. We haven't had any kind of kill. And it's still a ways after this that we get a kill.
Well, especially if you make a point of wanting to have this many cast members, this many crew on the ship. You know what I mean? You needed to have... You needed to maybe send somebody else with Justin, and somebody got trapped on the other side of wherever Justin went, or you needed to have one person, because a lot of times people also go to these for the fun, gross, horror.
So the med base goes crazy. Justin was alive, and he goes to the airlock. He makes it reveal that he is seeing stuff, but we don't see it, which again is fine. Basically, he plans on putting himself out the airlock, and just vacuuming himself into space.
Exactly, and I think, and as crazy as that sounds, he might be the most sane person of the people, other than Lawrence Fishburne. He's probably, of the people that got affected, he's probably the second sanest. Because he realizes that something's not right with him, something's never going to be right with him again, and he needs to end this now or he's going to hurt somebody. I think that's where his mind's at. So,
and at this point, Lawrence Fishburne, they talked about their own shit fixing, rookie guy, he has already long since joined Alfred out there, and Lawrence Fishburne's actually out there in a suit as well. There's a time frame before that. So Lawrence Fishburne's whole rushing again. Justin goes into space, but Lawrence Fishburne gets him back in. I mean, that's Justin lives, kind of, that's not really how space works. You can't really get out. You can't really get out there unprotected and not be instantly not alive.
No,
but I mean, it's a movie, so
that's to be honest. And my thought in horror movies like this also is that the reason I'm okay with it is because they made a point of having a line by Lawrence Fishburne to explain why he was okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that he had a line where he's like, hey, be sure that, you're probably fucked, but before you go out the airlock, blow all the air out your lungs. And which is kind of, it's not realistic, but at least they thought enough to, okay, we need to have an explanation as far as why.
And my kind of thing is, as long as... a lot of space movies, they have their own rules as far as being out there in space without it. As long as they follow their own rules, that's fine. Justin's the only one that ends up out there without a spacesuit. But yeah, Justin lived, and they have 4 hours left, and still nobody's died. And so they put Justin, in the sleepy juice. And so that's a tap on, that's a wrap on him for the movie.
Yeah,
we don't see him. Technically, we see him at the very, very end. Technically, but Weir's useless. So we get to reveal at this point that the visions are people from people from their past, regrets, secrets, that kind of thing.
I do like how they kind of go through to mention this because they realize this through Lawrence Fishburne, who the person he's seeing he knows with 100% certainty is dead.
No.
And it's someone that he regrets because he left him behind. And it sounds on some previous mission, but it sounds like he was completely justified to leave him behind.
And we also indicate that we start to get indicated clues that the ship, when it folded space, went beyond the boundaries of the universe, and that's kind of ship's been aware of some interesting stuff, but a little more answers needed. Again. Was Weir already corrupted before coming because he hallucinated before? Doc Lady kind of goes down. I'm like, why are there people that don't seem to be affected? Sam Neill, basically, he gets totally corrupted. And he gets turned into basically a body horror. Into a body horror thing, and so Sam Neill's now going full villain.
Yeah, Sam Neill's gone off he's gone nuts up. He's gone from a 2 to a 12, on the crazy scale.
But then there's also a brief scene after he has, before everybody, where he is more or less acts like regular Sam Neill again. Because I wrote okay, is he? 1 minute he's all villain, team ship, and then no, but then he gouges out a character's eyes, it seems, and Weir blows up. Sam Neill blows up their ship completely.
Yes.
And here also, one of my biggest issues with the movie is at this part, and makes me want to take a baseball bat metaphorically to the writer. So they blow up. Alfred dies. I thought Rookie, aka Horny Dog, died. He goes way out there in space. He's in a spacesuit. And I just found it really hokey, meant for comedy. But this is not a time for comedy relief, and they've not really shown this is not a movie that's going to use a comedy relief. It's this really, really hokey design comedy bit where he's going to get back to the ship. Uses his air to get back to the ship and get back into the fight. I'm like, wait, Horny Dog is making it back? That's kind of asinine.
Yeah. I saw, obviously I'm like, I wrote down, Rookie guy is going to make it back.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's kind of, but they didn't use it quite right, and this isn't a comedy horror movie, so it didn't really fit for what they were doing. But
I also felt so towards the end they start going for some body horror. And then the kills start racking up. But if you're going to do body horror, they make it seem like the ship's kind of been to hell. I think you needed to have some of these deaths needed to be more gruesome. We get to see Isaac got surgery by Weir, but we don't see any of it.
No, and I think there also should have been in the very beginning when they had the three of them going through the three areas. They should have had one where they just found a body horror room with a bunch of like decomposing shit from the previous crew.
Yep.
They should have had something like that in there.
Yeah, so apparently we find that the ship went to another dimension of pure chaos, evil, and the ship is now a lot. Okay? And they kind of ratchet up some of the kills of some of the people that, we don't really care about. Doc Kid goes, Alfred just got blown up, Jason Isaac goes, but we really would have liked to see some more of that body horror there.
They also didn't, like we talked about this, but they didn't use him nearly enough as they could have.
No, so pretty soon we're down to Fishburne, Horny Duck, who's rookie, who's now back. I say Horny Duck. He made one sexual joke at the very beginning of the movie, and so I just tagged it with the line Horny Duck. Yeah. It was one kind of it wasn't an aspect of his character throughout the entire movie. He just, when they woke up, he made one kind of thing lighthearted, and I'm like, I'll just call him that.
And then, because now we have Fishburne, we have Rookie Guy or Horny Doc, and we have Sark. Was that her name, Sark?
I don't remember.
Like blonde, it was like Stark or Sark or something.
I mean, she was, forgettable.
Yeah. Because they also don't explain much about her whatsoever.
No. And so kind of their plan is the gravity drive is gearing up now because they're going to jump them back to that chaos.
Yeah.
And so their plan is to blow, surprise, surprise, those explosives that are in the corridor are going to come in handy. They're going to blow up the corridor, because what that's happening is that's the corridor links the living area of the ship to the grab area. And so they're going to stay in the grab area, blow up the corridor, and let the grab area, jump back to the land of chaos and evil. So we kind of have our finale there,
Kind of have our finale even someone like me who never sees any of this shit coming, the second they mention, I'm like, oh, so the ship's gonna explode, and you're gonna have
and so it explodes. Fishburne dies. He doesn't make it. It does, and
I wrote lamest fight scene ever.
Oh god, yeah, it was really lame.
Yeah, they could have had some gory thing. No, it was the lamest fight scene ever.
Yeah, it was really. Yeah, that was really bad. Lots of unanswered questions with Weir, Rookie Doc, blonde lady, and apparently Justin.
A really fucked up Justin.
Yeah, they all survive. I really thought that what they should have done is they should have at least given us some subtle hints that Justin was actually infected with this evil. Then it really would have made his survival a little interesting. You could have even done at the very end when they're waking up. You could have maybe even done a little look or something like that to indicate, okay, so maybe that's where a potential sequel would have gone.
Yeah.
But yeah. So what were your overall thoughts of this one, Ivan?
And do you want to explain our...
Yeah, so our rating, it's diamonds and duds. So it's either a diamond or a dud. For each one, the scale is 1 through 5. Diamonds are good movies. So, Diamond 1 is it was a good flick. Probably not going to be watching it very much. All the way up to 5, it's fantastic. A dud is a bad movie, but there is a rewatchability. There's rewatchability to some bad movies. One dud is I wish I could get the 2 hours of my life back. A 5 dud is it's a bad movie, but it embraced the concept. It's
Dark Crystal, for example.
Dark Crystal had a lot of rewatchability to it.
That movie has a lot of... For me, this would fall into the dud category.
It does for me, too.
And for me, on a scale of 1 to 5, I wouldn't say it's a 1.
Yeah.
I'd say it's probably a 3, because I think there's some campy rewatchability in there, but not enough for me to tell other people to watch it or anything like that. I was glad that I watched it again. I'm curious upon another viewing if I see more stuff, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I'm going to give it a 2.5. Dud 2.5. It had a lot of unearned, and horror movie, you don't have to answer everything. But with Sam Neill specifically, we needed more clarity or you needed to restructure things so that you didn't bring up a bunch of questions you didn't mean to bring up.
And I will say, online, there's a lot of rumors about sequels and remakes of this movie. And I think this is the kind of movie that if they were to do a remake of it, would do. And to be honest, what I would love to see is the way Netflix and Apple TV does those, like
Like an event series.
Not one that you would ever have season 2 of.
Yeah.
But like those ones that the guy who's going to do the
Dark Tower.
The Dark Tower, I forget the guy's name. He does those horror, like something like that where it's like a 4 or 5 episode, whatever would be appropriate for it. You have some sort of 4 or 5 episode thing.
Yeah.
And it would be, the way I envision it also, it wouldn't just be the stuff from this movie. You'd have an episode where it shows the making of the building of the Event Horizon ship. Yeah. Then and so I think there's a lot there.
Yeah.
But
So next time we're going to be tackling another sci-fi space movie. This one back from the 80s. 1984 is The Ice Pirates.
Yep, The Ice Pirates. I've heard things about this movie. Part of me wonders going into this, not having never seen it, if this is something that was a hole in my sci-fi viewing, and we'll find out next time if that's the case.
Yeah, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe. We're on TikTok, the Blue Sky. Are we on TikTok? Yeah, we're on TikTok.
Yeah, I think we're
Facebook. Yeah, we're on all the things. We're on a lot of the things. So
follow us on all of the things.
Yeah, follow us on all the things, and tune in next time.
And if you have any ideas for us to watch stuff, go on any of those. Comment on the YouTube things or on the Spotify things. You can comment. If you have any ideas for us to do, let us know.
Yep. All right.
Have a good one.
Adios.